All right, Monica, while I'm reading your introductions, do you mind watching the participant list to let people in if anybody joins? Okay. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to have this partnership with Freddie Mac and to offer our membership this housing educational webinar series. We have a few scheduled throughout the next couple of months, and this is our first one. And we're very excited to have both Carmen Mercado and Monica LaCruz here today. So I'm just going to do a quick introduction and then I will let them take over. So Carmen is the Senior Affordable Lending Manager at Freddie Mac. She is responsible for managing industry relationships as part of the Affordable Lending team, focused on building awareness of Freddie Mac's offerings to support responsible lending, provide sustainable home ownership, and improve access to credit for all borrowers. Her team trains industry professionals on affordable products, resources, and tools. Prior to joining Freddie Mac, she was the Director of Strategic Growth Markets for a global real estate company. She started her real estate career in 2002 as a sales agent, broker manager, and trainer, and pivoted to pursuing a corporate career path in 2011, holding various leadership roles within the industry. Amongst her many accomplishments, she was the 2011 President of National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, launched the NARA Leadership Academy under her term as president, and was featured by Housing Wire as one of the 25 most influential women in the housing economy. And then we have Monica LaCruz, who is an affordable lending manager at Freddie Mac and part of the single family client and community engagement team. She joined Freddie Mac in 2019 as part of the real estate engagement outreach team. She works closely with industry diverse trade associations, real estate companies, and local and state realtor associations like us. So Monica has been in the finance, mortgage, and real estate industry for over 13 years. She has worn various hats throughout her career and is well respected by her industry partners and known for her keen sense of customer relationships, program development, education, and event management. Monica graduated from San Diego University with a degree in history. All right, Carmen and Monica, thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate your time, and I'm going to hand it over to Monica to begin.
Thank you so much, Liz. I'm honored to be with all of you guys today. I'm excited to bring you some information. We're going to cover the state of the housing market. We're also going to talk about some future home buyer trends and some business solutions to help your current clients. We encourage you guys to stay interactive. We will provide a PDF copy of the presentation afterwards. So if you guys have any questions, please utilize the chat feature. We'll have time for those towards the end of the presentation. So to start, we're going to jump in. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about who Freddie Mac is, why we're relevant in the housing market, and kind of what we do to impact the industry. So we were chartered by Congress in 1970, and we were basically created to keep money flowing to mortgage lenders in support of homeownership and for rental housing. We operate on what's called the secondary mortgage market, which means we don't lend directly to consumers. We buy mortgages from our approved lenders, and we pull those mortgages into securities and sell those securities to investors worldwide. Our mission is to promote liquidity, stability, affordability, and equality in housing. We're dedicated to stabilizing communities, expanding credit responsibly, and supporting affordable rental housing. We have three main lines of business: single family, which is 1 to 4 units, where Carmen and I sit. We also have our multifamily, which is 5 units and up, and our capital markets. Those are the ones pulling those securities together and selling them to investors. At Freddie Mac, we have an all-for-home approach, and we focus on 4 key pillars that support our industry leadership, and that's through our insights, education, mortgage products, and our business solutions. Our insights, we highlight research studies, thought leadership, speaking opportunities, and our data to position our clients and partners for success. Through our education, we host events and trainings like the one you're participating in today, and we provide tools and resources to professionals to help them better prepare buyers for responsible and sustainable homeownership. We also understand that buyers today and in the future are going to have unique needs that require both innovative products and informed advisors like yourselves to guide them. I'm going to cover a few of our products with you today. They're designed to offer more opportunities for first-time home buyers, our diverse population, as well as low to moderate income buyers. And then lastly, our business solutions. We understand it's going to take a broad set of solutions and people from across the housing ecosystem to solve for buyers and industry challenges. We're leading the charge in developing forward-thinking services, tools, and solutions to help everyone. So we're going to start by diving in to the state of the housing market. The market's been heavily affected by a number of factors. So we're going to take a look at where we are compared to where we were a few months ago. So this is a slide that's covering our mortgage originations. We hit an all-time high in 2020. I'm sure you are still reeling from all of the offers that you were getting during this time. The market has seen a little bit of a cool off in the last 8 months, 8 to 10 months. You know, interest rates are starting to go up. And the rise has led to a leveling out of home prices. You aren't seeing those over asking prices. You might see some of your listings staying on the market for a little bit longer, but there's still a strong demand for home purchases. We also have seen a decline in the refi market. It's kind of coming down to a wind down now. Really hope that you guys took advantage of the low interest rates, as well as helped some of your clients possibly go through that refinancing opportunity. Now, our economists are predicting that originations will remain strong for the rest of the year and hopefully increase a tad into 2023. Now on this slide, we see the homeownership rate by region. Here we're comparing rates from Q2 of 2021 to Q2 of 2022. And we see that rates have maintained relatively steady in all areas. Now when COVID-19 hit, a lot of the metro areas, people started to relocate to less populated areas. Now this might have been for more space now that people were working and learning from home, so they needed more space, or they wanted to be around less people, right? You didn't want to go to the grocery store with a massive mob. So a lot of people started to move out to some of the suburbs. Now, homeownership is still a great investment. And while we see interest rates, continuing to increase, it's discouraging some of those, from continuing to jump into the market. I was at an event a few months ago and everyone was sharing kind of their first interest rate on their first home. And many were sharing, 9, 10, 12% as their first, introduction to homeownership. And while I hope we're still, a ways away from seeing those rates, it's important to remember that the housing market is a cycle and, rates will go up, rates will go down, and we just need to adjust our approach to make sure that we're helping our home buyers. Now here we're looking at the homeownership rate for roughly the last 20 years. There's been some ups, there's been some downs. You see a couple of recessions listed here over the last 20 years, but the current homeownership rate is around 65%. In a later session of this series, we are going to talk about millennials. I'm sure a lot of them or a lot of you are working with them now. We're going to talk about their impact on the housing market. They're currently the largest adult population, and they finally started to form households and start to purchase homes. They are also the most diverse home generation the U.S. has ever seen. And some economists are predicting that the historic persistent gap in homeownership across our diverse communities could lead to an overall drop in the homeownership rate. It's important that the industry continue to address disparities in homeownership and support generational wealth for building for our communities of color. Now, we have seen obviously the rise in home prices, and this is continue to build equity for all your current homeowners right now. This could be a great time for you to reach out to some of your past clients to see if they might want to tap into some of that equity that they have. It might, lead to a new transaction for yourselves. Maybe some, older baby boomers might want to tap into that equity and pull some out to maybe help their millennial child put a down payment on their home. We've definitely seen that happen. Maybe they might want to make a second purchase or something like that. Reaching out may translate to another sale. So I encourage you guys to continue to be a resource for your past clients and continue to help them achieve their financial goals. We always talk about how the real estate agent is the first person that somebody reaches out to when they start their homeownership journey. I have a little sister. She and her family, her husband's in the Air Force. They're stationed in Italy right now, and they're actually relocating and moving to Alaska later on this year, and they are looking to buy. And so the first person they reached out to was a real estate agent to get a better feel for the market. And from that stemmed referrals to their lender that they're currently working with. She is going to utilize, their military benefits, their veteran benefits in order to purchase their home. And so it's really important that you're working with all sorts of different diverse buyers to make sure that you are working with a lot of different diverse lenders to make sure that you're staying up to date with the latest programs and products that are going to help as many buyers as you are working with. Now here we look at the home price appreciation. Average year-over-year growth has been about 18.8%, and this is from April of this year. We definitely have seen an increase. Washington 21%, with some of the neighboring states like Idaho 24%, Montana 27%, definitely increasing it. Even California, I'm based here in San Diego, has seen an increase. Now we do see a higher increase across different states. Florida at 31%, Tennessee 25%. Once remote work was available, the only thing you needed was a Wi-Fi connection. A lot of people started to move out of these urban markets that were pricey to live in search for more affordable housing. And so we definitely have seen an increase into some of those markets like Montana and Idaho and whatnot. So, we encourage you guys to continue to build, networking and referral business across these. I know a lot of people in Washington hold licenses in multiple states. And so it's a great opportunity for you to tap into some of your neighboring states to see about opportunities. Here is a pattern of those migrations. We're taking a closer look here. We see some top inbound and outbound states. Now this is from 2018, 19, and 2020. And we see some top outbound states being New Jersey, New York, Illinois, with inbound being Idaho, South Carolina, Oregon. I encourage you guys, again, to connect with these neighboring states to drive your referral business. Social media is a great way to engage with agents in different states, maybe attending some of the national conventions that some other organizations are hosting to build your referral network. I was at a real estate conference earlier this year, and I met a gentleman from Colorado who started a Facebook group called Californians Moving to Colorado. And so what he shared on there were the great things going on in Colorado, listings and whatnot. So he built up this referral network for people who were leaving California in search for that affordable market into Colorado. He was not only able to grow his business, but his referral business, because obviously he's not covering the entire state. And so he was able to kind of offer some referral business to his network there in Colorado. So I encourage you guys to network and outside of Washington to continue to grow that business. Here is some millennial mortgages. According to Freddie Mac data, the median age for a millennial for a first-time home buyer is about 33%. They make about $89,000. And in 2020, millennial first-time buyers definitely started to increase. They had that FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. They were postponing that home ownership. And basically now that they saw, the instant stability that COVID was offering, they wanted some of that stability. And so they looked to home ownership to provide that security that they needed in order to secure some housing. So this slide is highlighting the top 20 millennial MSAs. I mentioned earlier that they were searching for those affordable markets, and you definitely see those numbers increasing here. We do see that Seattle, Washington has made the list, and some other cities. Texas alone had 5 metro areas on the MSA. So these are the markets that the millennials are currently buying in. And so it'd be interesting to see what changes year over year. Now, affordability continues to be another barrier for homeownership. This slide is showing that year over year, down payment went up about 13%, whereas the monthly mortgage increased around 4%. So these low interest rates compared with lack of inventory has only continued to add to the struggle. We do see a leveling out of that as interest rates rise up. But at Freddie Mac, we're continuing to provide solutions to address the affordability crisis that we see. Part of the webinar is going to cover some of those affordable products that we have. You know, the series is dedicated to highlighting those products and provide them as resources and tools that you can use to help reach more home buyers. I also want to mention we have made some changes to our ADU guidelines. So if ADUs are popular in the Washington state, I encourage you guys to work with your lender to learn more about those options because they could be an asset for somebody who is looking to maybe get some rental income from a property that they might own. So now I'm going to turn it over to Carmen Mercado. She's going to cover some first-time home buyer data. Encourage you guys to utilize that chat button if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Monica. Before we even turn to the next slide, too, let's just pause it here for a minute. I would like to get some interaction. Thank you for participating in today's session. I know we're going to throw a lot of information your way. We will give you access through Liz to the PowerPoint presentation. But I want to ask a question. If you can entertain me for a second and just enter your guess in the chat in terms of what do you think or what are you feeling or seeing is one of the biggest, or if not the largest, challenge for homeownership right now. I would love to see kind of your responses, or over the past 2 years, especially for first-time home buyers, would love to see kind of get some insights from the market. So if you can enter that into your chat, that'll be great. Just gives us a little bit of perspective. I always say learning is 2 ways. We can learn from you as well. So interest rates, definitely a big killer in the appetite for homeownership. Out-of-pocket costs, monthly estimated payments. Thank you for participating. I like to do that because, you know, Freddie Mac, we do a lot of research. We have some phenomenal research and economist teams, and we do surveys and all sorts of things, as well as rely on additional surveys from some of our external partners that does great work in the research and analytics space. The reality is that you are the ones that are boots on the ground. So we get a lot of our information from you as well as what's important, what do we need to address, what do we need to be speaking to. So with that, I do want to go and share with you a survey that we pulled from the Urban Institute and National Association of Realtors that talked about some of the largest challenges to homeownership. And when you look at the report, you'll see that access to a down payment or mortgage still remains one of the most common hurdles that exists for borrowers today. And what you're putting in the chat is accurate. That's aggravating. And Monica talked about that a little bit. You know, the interest rates, right? The lack of inventories. I see on the chat that it says, you know, entry levy housing. Absolutely. So all of those things are, you know, true. But when it came to asking, you know, potential borrowers, what we saw that down payment assistance or down payment, having down payment was one of the largest barriers. And you can see generationally on the screen, it shows you, you know, that was much larger, higher issue for the millennial population, yet they are such a big cohort in terms of influencing the housing market. So we need to make sure to address that and allow time for that individual millennials cohorts that are really the future of home purchases, is to start saving and to start understanding what programs are out there so that they can actually achieve homeownership. The interest rates, we'll deal with that, you know, in terms, I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but, you know, you hear this, you know, commonality, you may have heard it, and Monica and I were talking about it earlier. It's, you know, it's you date the rate, right, but you marry the house. And there's a lot of information here. We're going to talk about even just the different products that can help maybe overcome some of the current challenges in addition to the down payment programs that are available. What you look also is that you see that the millennials have a lot more mobility, but there is also the lack of knowledge. What does it take to actually purchase a property? What is the process? What does the process look like? And as real estate professionals, that's where each and every one of you play a pivotal role in reaching out and the education to these particular cohorts. So next, I want to talk about the first-time home buyer population. And this was also, you know, I really encourage you. You're a great part of the NAR Realtor Association. They have some phenomenal research, you know, not only from Lawrence Young, but also Jessica Glauth puts a great information out there regarding first-time home buyers. But, not to any surprise, historically and every year over year, when I look at this report, it still shows that married couples continue to be the driver of primarily the first-time home buyers. But what I want to point out is the second largest home buyer cohort, and that is single females. They have continued to increase year over year, I would say for the past 3 years at looking at this report, and understanding where your buyers are coming from. And what I mean about that is not necessarily what city or state. Of course, that's what you're dealing with at a local level, but understanding what are their trends, what are they looking for, who is that buyer, how do you reach them, what are some of the characteristics that represent that buyer. So when you take a look at the median age of the first-time home buyers, and that's on the fourth bullet point, you'll see that the median age was 29 years old. So there's this myth that millennials or the younger generation are not purchasing properties, but we need to start getting past that myth, because I'm aging myself. Millennials were a topic before they were even able to really purchase a property. Those are really Gen Zers right now. Millennials are the market because of the age and the demographics that they represent. So what I wanted to dive in the next slide is break down a little bit more of the first-time home buyers in terms of the percentage makeup that they made. Actually, 34% of the borrowers were actually first-time home buyers. Again, understanding what is needed, what is considered a first-time home buyer, how do we reach these individuals, especially within the millennial generation, and how do we address the major issues of aging housing stock, lack of inventory. What are some other solutions that they may be open to that we should be bringing to the forefront? 65% of first-time home buyers cited that the primary reason for purchasing a home was the desire to purchase a home. So regardless of obstacles and challenges, year over year, and historically, buyers will find a solution if they have the right team working with them. And that's really understanding. There was individuals in the 1980s purchasing homes, with double-digit interest rates. That didn't hold them back. They just had to understand, what did that monthly payment translate to? And could I afford that? And what was the end goal of that property? Were they planning to stay there for the life of the house, 30 plus years? Or were there a stage of their life that they really were only looking for maybe 5 years or less to be in that property? All of these things that come together, right, to make the decision as to what type of property, but as well as what type of lending product makes most sense for that particular cohort. On the next slide, we're going to talk about the adult composition of the home buyer household. And I want to just kind of talk a little bit more about the single females. Although we do know that married couples continue to be the largest population of the first-time home buyers, single females are also really penetrating the market. But what we look at is, what does that single female look like? Well, we know it's the second largest home buyer segment, but we also know that the buyer segment within the single females range between the ages of 66 and 74. So that's important to know, because the demographics as well as the age and generational may have some direct correlation to the type of housing that they may be interested in, whether that's accessibility to more urban markets, whether that's living in a 55 or 65 or older community, as well as where do they want to age in place, right? Whether they're aging in place or purchasing a property. And I think Monica talked a little bit about what you saw with the migration pattern. So in this, from a referral or relocation opportunity, do you have that embedded in your day-to-day operations? And are you reaching out to folks to those outbound states where they're receiving individuals, especially single females that are within the ages of 66 and 74? So again, this is all about not only just sharing the data, but it's also kind of just opening the thought process of, how do I reach this market so that I can help more buyers and also increase my business opportunity. The next slide really talks about the millennial demographics and really understanding what the cohort is about. We need to understand that millennials is the most diverse demographic that we'll see from a population standpoint. They are also more mobile. They're willing to, pick up and go, even if they don't have family around them. They're willing to explore additional opportunities. but they are also still opting for a more urban lifestyle. Monica did touch on that. It did change a little bit. During the pandemic, you saw individuals that were going back home. If they were not homeowners, they were going back home because their lease was up. They wanted to be closer to family. At least that gave them a circle of network, given that many of them didn't have access to why they moved to the urban areas. A lot of them have been able to save money. So they may have additional income now or down payment resources. The other thing that's important, if you have a millennial who is more mobile and willing to maybe move around, whether it's for job or work remote, that may be a conversation with the lender whether or not adjustable rate may be an option for them, especially given the high interest rates that we're in now. If they're not planning to stay in that home for more than 5 years, then maybe it's a conversation to have. Again, it's about them exploring all their options with that lender so that they can make sure that that monthly payment is a safe payment for them. But more importantly, that they have a strategy in terms of, is this my forever home or is this not? And if it's not, then maybe this is the best route for me. So it's all about working with a team of individuals that understand all the different options that that particular buyer, whether it's millennial or not, may have. So what I also wanted to kind of transition into, so what does this mean for you? Yes, and that's why I asked the question in the chat when we started. What are some of the barriers that you're seeing in addition to the challenges to save for down payment? And you all mentioned very, very important things: the interest rate, the out-of-pocket costs, all of that, housing. But this doesn't mean that we give up. What this means is that we actually need to work just a little bit harder, right? Every single time to make sure that those individuals that are somewhat getting there to be possibly mortgage ready, we get them there to the table with as much resources as possible. We understand that the interest is still, people still want a home. They still see that as a good financial investment for themselves. But we also need to prepare for the changing demographics. What does this mean? And what does that new buyer want or need? And how can we best service them? At Freddie Mac, like we said, and Monica mentioned that in her initial slide, is that we're looking to provide insights and education about these products so that you can actually go into that market and help prepare them with the lenders that you're working with the title companies, et cetera. So we want to talk a little bit about the mortgage ready population. You'll hear that term a lot at Freddie Mac, and that is based on studies that we have done. This is for research purposes only, and this, what it does is it identifies the cohorts that are more credit visible. So these are individuals that are using credit. They have access to, whether it's a credit card, loan, a car loan, so on and so forth. We can see them. They're using credit in one way, shape, or form. So we've identified them as either mortgage ready, near mortgage ready, or not more currently mortgage ready. And that's a difference. And I will, share with you, and you all know this, you are, realtor extraordinaires, and you're participating in this session is because affordable solutions is important to you. But it really is how you deliver that message to that not currently mortgage ready individual that will determine that business pipeline for the future. Even myself, when I first purchased my home, the first realtor told me there's no way you can afford a house just based on my current income at that time, as well as just the job. I had only been working for 3 months. But yet another real estate agent got me into my first home, right? So I wasn't definitely that not currently mortgage ready, but I was able to move very quickly over to the mortgage ready. So what do we determine? Mortgage ready individuals that are, credit scores that are, above 661, they don't have a debt to income ratio higher than 25%, no foreclosures, bankruptcies, et cetera. And then near mortgage ready, maybe they're a little bit less on their credit score, but their debt to income ratios are still pretty solid, and as well as any negative credit history as well. Maybe the not so much mortgage ready just need additional education, a little bit more time. So we wanted to take a look at how much time would it take for those individuals that were near mortgage ready based on generation, as well as the mortgage ready time to save. So as you can see, you have here 39.9 million mortgage ready overall population. And when you take at the overall near mortgage ready, that's about 12.2 million that are near mortgage ready. Again, these numbers, will continue to shift based on some of the things that you entered into the chat. is interest rates and affordability. But this is how long it would take individuals to save for a property, whether it's 20% down payment or whether it's a 3% down payment. And then that is also a big myth in the industry, is how long or how much do I need? You know, what I like to, really use this as an example. When you go to a mortgage calculator, primarily, what does it default to? Almost every calculator that you go online, choose a site and go on there, and it automatically primarily defaults to 20%. And we are in the industry, so we know we can use the scale or however it is and move it down and enter how much money we have for down payment, and it'll give us that monthly payment. But it's really interesting to see that, because it really exemplifies that we need to do a better job from an industry professional standpoint to demystify the fact that you do need 20%. The argument here could absolutely be, well, individuals are looking, sellers want individuals with more down payment. The market is shifting a little bit, and you're starting to see now more sellers, at least from what real estate agents are sharing with me, more sellers are a little bit more open and willing to understand that they may be seeing buyers that may have a little bit less down payment, or may be looking for some additional funds, whether it's a gift from their parents or family, or whether it's a down payment program that's available to them. So again, as markets shift, the better we prepare the industry with this information, the better positioning we will have with these individuals. The next slide really shows how many of the mortgage ready are actually in debt. So a higher share of the mortgage ready younger millennials have student loan debt compared to other generations. So when you take a look at the generations, what it's showing you is what type of debt do they have? You see auto loans, student loans, other transactions. So why is this important? Is really understanding, what are they gravitating to, and how do we get in front of them so that they make better decisions from the very beginning? Maybe not purchasing a car note that's going to have, $500, $600 payment. Maybe it's setting expectations and showing them how that's going to impact their ability to purchase a property in the near future or at the moment. So this is, always interesting to see kind of the difference between the generations in terms of where they're, spending their money. But it's, again, another opportunity as to where can we help educate them. The next slide is going to show you the time to save from mortgage ready by population by age. So it tells you the Generation Z, it would take them 27.5, again, depending on where they live, to save for a 20% down payment. That's common because they're not even right there, they're budding that, purchase market age. But let's look at the older millennials. If it's 20%, it'll be 18.9 years. I don't know about you, but I would be very discouraged if you told me it was going to take me 20 years, almost 20 years to save for a home. But if I knew there were programs out there and that it would only take me maybe 2 to 3 years, I would be more enthusiastic. And I would most likely be inclined to speak to a real estate agent early on. And that's what we can do, is help set that path for those individuals. And then over here, you can see the breakdown of younger millennials, Gen Xers. Again, 3% is a lot easier to save for versus 20%. So really important to keep in mind, what can we do? How can we educate? When you look at the next slide, it shows you where the mortgage ready are in terms of location. And you can see that the coastal cities, of course, I am based out of Long Island, New York, very, very, coastal city, and affordability is definitely a big issue. That's where you're seeing a lot of young buyers purchasing condos, or even purchasing with a friend, because they graduated college. They're used to that kind of coexisting living. So they're going into it, and many don't want to come back to live at home, purchasing a property with their friends as an investment, as a short-term investment, and knowing that they only really want to be there for maybe 5 or 10 years as their life continues to evolve. Maybe, they get into a relationship and then they decide to sell this property. So all of these things are important, because when you're reaching as part of your education to the community, these are things that you can start speaking to. And then the last slide that I'll share before passing it back over to Monica is that not currently mortgage ready. What does this mean from an opportunity? This is what I reiterated earlier. This is an opportunity for us to help them, teach them about credit. And we have resources and tools that Monica will cover later on that will help you reach this without having to reinvent the wheel. We have to talk to them about understanding their bank statements, understanding what decisions they should be making around their credit. Some actually are not mortgage ready because they're not credit visible, not because they have bad credit. Some of them is that they just don't want to use credit cards or don't even understand how or why. A lot of them are used to these cash apps, right? Or Venmo or so many other things, Zelle out there and so on. So understanding that credit is going to be part of that homeownership journey, whether it's now or 2 years or 5 years from now. So there are solutions and it's based on outreach. But with that, I want to pass it over to Monica, who's going to cover some of the product solutions that Freddie Mac has to help really with some of these larger challenges around homeownership.
Awesome. Thank you, Carmen. Covered lots of different information, the challenges that our current home buyers are facing, some solutions that you can provide to them. I'm going to go into in the next few slides talking about those affordable products that you can use to position them for that low down payment that Carmen had covered. They're designed really to help more buyers that don't have a lot of down payment. And at the end, I'll cover some resources for you and your buyers. So the next slide here, we have our low down payment products. The first I'm going to talk about is our Home Possible. This is a conventional loan. It's designed for buyers with low to very low incomes who are looking for low down payment options as well as flexible sources of funds. So with Home Possible, a buyer who qualifies can get into a home for as little as 3% down. It allows for a non-occupied co-borrower on a 1-unit property, and also allows for many different types of down payment sources. Some buyers, might want to use an employee assistance program that might be helping them with their down payment. Maybe some newlyweds came, up on some cash from their wedding, and they want to use that towards putting it towards a down payment on a home. These are allowed with Home Possible. With Home Possible, it does have an area median income limit. In order to qualify, the buyer does need to make less than 80% of the area median income. Freddie Mac does have a tool that can help you determine what the area median income is in your market. Happy to share that with you guys after the session. It's a great way for you to determine what if they qualify for Home Possible. Now, you may be thinking, I work with a lot of high income buyers, or I work with some millennial buyers who are making a higher income. We thought about that too. We understand that there are some people that are still burdened with the need for a low down payment product. So we introduced Home One. It's like Home Possible. It's a low down payment product, but it has no income limits. One of the buyers does have to be a first-time home buyer. First-time home buyer meaning they haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. It's also available on 1-unit properties. Condos and townhomes are allowed as well. This is a great product for those first-time millennial home buyers who are making those higher incomes, who want to live in a high-cost market. And then we also have our HFA Advantage. It's like Home Possible again. It does have area median income limits, but those are set by the state and local HFA. All borrowers who are on the loan must occupy the home, and there are some MI coverage requirements as well. So I encourage you guys to stay tuned for upcoming Freddie Mac webinars that are going to deep dive into these products so that you can help and reach more people who might be interested in utilizing these products. We are dedicated to finding some solutions to some of the other housing issues that we're facing, that many home buyers are facing in the market today. A few years ago, we introduced our Choice Renovation. It's a solution basically for our aged housing stock that we're seeing across the U.S. Carmen mentioned a lot of, baby boomers wanting to age in place, and then, they haven't been updating some of those homes. And so when they do return back to the market, they might need a little bit of love and care in order to get them up to par for a current buyer who would want to purchase. And so Choice Renovation is designed for buyers who are looking for a convenient and cost-saving ways to finance their home purchase as well as renovation costs into a single transaction. We also know that location is very important for our diverse buyers. And so if they find a home in a market that they really want to stay in, maybe it's, a couple houses down from maybe a sister or brother, and so they like to stay close to family. And so, if they find a house that they want to maybe just fix up themselves, this is a great option for them to be able to do that. We also know that reducing home utility costs places families in a better financial situation and also helps preserve the home affordability over time. So we introduced our Green Choice Mortgage. It's basically we are basically committed to financing the energy efficiency home improvements as well as energy efficiency homes. Basically, those costs that they're saving are as money basically back into those pockets of those families that are hopefully going to alleviate some of the expenses. Moving from an apartment into a single family home, utilities prices go up. You're paying for water now versus not having to pay for water before in a complex. So definitely options to help address that affordability issue. We also have our manufactured homes via Choice Homes and our shared equity home ownership. Encourage you guys, again, we don't lend directly. These are the products that we have in the market for our lenders to utilize. So we can provide some deep dive education into these or reach out to your lenders. I'm sure they would be more than willing to give you some more guidance on utilizing these products and how they can be some options for your home buyers. So now we're coming towards the end of our presentation. Encourage you guys to utilize that chat if you have any questions. I'm going to turn now and talk about our Freddie Mac's resources. They're designed to help both you as a professional and your buyers. And everything that I cover today is free to you. So the first is My Home. My Home is a consumer-facing website. It answers common questions related to homeownership. It has videos, infographics, quizzes that your buyers can use to gain knowledge about the home buying process. It's great because it's not branded. It doesn't have any ads. Your buyers can go in and view at their own pace online. It also has information for buyers looking to refinance, sell. Maybe they might be in a financial situation that might need help with the foreclosure prevention. It is all about sustainable homeownership, right? So we want to make sure that we're providing tools and resources for all stages of the homeownership process. So you can definitely visit this website. It's a great tool to use after an open house. When you follow up with somebody and you say, hey, if you don't have any questions for me now, but you would like to gain some more research and information on by yourself, send them this link. They can go and again, no pressure because there's no ads and information being collected on this website for them. The next is our CreditSmart. Carmen talked about how there's a little bit of a lack of knowledge in the home buying process, a little bit of lack of knowledge in what credit is. CreditSmart is financial education. It teaches consumers how to make financial decisions, not only about home ownership, but their overall finances. It got a little bit of a facelift last year. It turned 21 this year. And so it covers, creating a budget, saving for retirement, what credit is, car loans, anything that you would need to know about your finances. It's free for consumers. I encourage you guys, if you might have a young adult who might be going into college and they would like, some financial education, this is a great tool for you to be able to provide to them so that they're financially savvy. I know when I first went to college, opening up a department store credit card so I can get some new clothes wasn't the best financial decision for me. So if your teen might be able to avoid that, I encourage you guys to offer this education to them. We also have CreditSmart Homebuyer U. This is going to walk them through the actual home buying process. It's free. So if you're looking for, utilizing a product that requires home buyer education, this might meet the requirements. It will for Home One. So if you are a first-time home buyer, I encourage you guys to walk through this. Sometimes the expectations for different demographics or even different age generations, as far as maintaining that accessibility to their lender or their real estate agent. CreditSmart Homebuyer U really sets that up, that tone, right? They know what to expect. They know the types of files that the lender might be asking for them. Sometimes people are a little hesitant to share some of their financial records with people, but in order to qualify for that mortgage, they need to do that. And so Homebuyer U walks them through the entire process and also gives them tips and tricks in order to maintain that home, right? Moving in, when you get that leaky faucet, you're not the one that can call the landlord now and have them come over and fix it. You have to find a plumber, and you have to be able to have money in reserves for unforeseen expenses like that. So Homebuyer U will prepare home buyers for all of that. We also have a CreditSmart Coach. CreditSmart Coach is where you as a professional can become certified to teach CreditSmart in your community. It's free to get certified. We host webinar trainings probably once a quarter. So be on the lookout for our new dates back up in 2023. It's a great tool for you to start building that buyer pipeline, right? You shared in the chat how some people don't have that appetite right now because interest rates are going up. Some people might be going back on the fence about is now the right time to purchase. This education is a great way for you to stay engaged with your home buyers to make sure that they have the right tools in order to be successful homeowners and build that rapport with them that will position you as a trusted advisor if you're providing these free resources for them. So I encourage you guys to check out the website. It's CreditSmart, CreditSmart Homebuyer U, and CreditSmart Coach for you guys. Again, all free. CreditSmart Homebuyer U is actually available in Spanish as well too. So I encourage you guys to look at these resources. Now we have our Affordable Lending Insights page. This is a great website for you guys to bookmark. What we share here are articles, executive perspectives, our ebooks, upcoming webinars. We feature Freddie Mac subject matter expertise and thought leadership blog types of articles. They can be shared directly from our website to your social media pages so that you are the trusted advisor in your market. You see your followers are seeing you posting about the latest and greatest that's going on in the housing industry. So I encourage you guys to visit here, bookmark the page, and stay engaged. The last is our Real Estate Professionals Resource Center. This was just recently revamped. I encourage you guys to go and take a look. Our Affordable Lending Insights page is definitely sharing the latest and greatest as it relates to affordable lending. This is resources through the lens of the real estate agent, right? We know that a lot of people think, oh, well, no, Freddie Mac works with lenders, but no, Carmen and myself are part of the team that really is educating a lot of real estate agents about this. And so we are knee deep in this product, in this website, to provide tools and resources for the real estate professional. We know that you guys are the ones that buyers go to first. And so we want to equip you with the right news and information. When you go to our website, you're going to scroll down to the bottom. There's going to be a little box for you to enter your email address in. You'll be able to pick and choose what you would like to receive from Freddie Mac as it relates to what we're sharing on social media. So I encourage you guys to do that. And then, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you, Liz, inviting Carmen and myself to be part of this series. Again, this is part one. We will have some leading up towards the end of the year. So I encourage you guys to stay up to date on the calendar. We love feedback. We want to make sure that we're hearing from you directly about what you would like to learn about and what information you find value. So if you can take out your camera, screenshot this QR code to provide some feedback to us, we would be honored and forever grateful to receive that from you guys. So Liz, I'll turn it back over to you to see if we have any questions in the chat, and then we'll answer any. So if anybody has questions, please feel free to let us know.
All right, thank you, Monica and Carmen. Does anybody have any questions? I don't see any in the chat.
And Liz, while you're checking the chat, I just wanted to add that as Monica was offering all the resources, I did enter the links into the chat. That way you can bookmark them, because if you're anything like me, I'll forget. So I click them, open them, and then save them and explore them later.
Perfect.
Thank you, Carmen.
All right, well, if we don't have any questions, then I guess we will end today's series.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Monica and Carmen.
Thank you. Thank you, Liz.
Bye.